Hi, and welcome back to my video. I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite massage moves with you today that I use all the time. But first, I get a lot of questions about how I do my diaper draping, so I decided to show you with this client with his clothes on first. And that is literally all you do is leave a towel on the table and they cover themselves with it. It's very easy. And then this is how you flip a client who has a diaper drape. And with this diaper drape technique, you actually roll it down and now you have complete access to the sacrum, the SI joints, the hips, the IT band, everything. So this is my first favorite move that it's a staple. I pretty much use it all the time. What I'm doing is I'm leaning backwards as I hold on to the client's ankles. I'm swinging to the left, back center, and swinging to the right. And I am bracing my legs on the table, which I'll show you in just a second. And here's another view. I am pulling pretty much as hard as I can so that we get the stretch all the way up into the hip girdle. Now this is how I brace my leg against the leg of the table. Actually, both of my legs are braced, and as you can see, I'm leaning back while bracing my legs on the table. And here I use my table again to lean my upper thigh into while I'm doing this next move so that I get really good, comfortable body mechanics. And I'm going to concentrate on the great trochanter, the glute max, the glute medius, and the glute minimus. And there I'm just showing you again that I'm leaning my leg into the table for stability and comfort. And using the flats of my fingers in a loose fist, I should loosen up my fists there in a second here. I am going all the way around the hip joint, which is the great trochanter. It's the ball and socket hip joint that you can feel there. I'm getting all the soft tissue around it as well as the three major glute muscles. I like to swing this around in both directions just for variety. And I also like to incorporate, there's the flats of my hands I'm using, and a loose fist. That's how it should be done. And I also like to incorporate the IT band in this. You can get the hamstrings, you can bring it up to the SI joint, the QL, and get everything at the same time. And it just feels really good the higher up you go on all the way up to glute minimus there. So usually after I do this technique, I like to do a nice, slow stretch going in opposing directions. So I'm going across the entire sacrum, all the way over to his left side, and then my left hand is going all the way down his IT band. And this is from another direction, so you can see how far over I go. And it's just a very smooth stretch. You can go as deep as you want. It depends on what the client is looking for. Now this is one of my all-time favorites. This is my opposing stretch because I'm pulling the soft tissue in opposite directions. You can apply either light, medium, or deep work. I also like to do a little bit of pushing on the shoulder joint and the hip joint. And here you can see I've got both arms forward. I use this a lot. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling gently as I lift his arms up. I'm pulling back. I'm leaning into my own body weight just to stretch out the shoulders. Now this is kind of like the other stretch that I just did. But instead of using the palms of my hands or the heel of my hand, I'm using my forearm with a nice loose open fist to relax my hands. To make this move easier, I do sit on a stool so that my body mechanics don't get completely thrown off course. Now this one, that's a little stretch there to open up the neck. There's the occipital ridge. I'm going just above it. Okay, and I'm going over the occipital ridge, the bony ridge, the base of the skull, starting there, and then I'm sinking into the soft tissue, the suboccipitals that attach to the occipital ridge. And I'm going all the way down and just spreading with my fingers. Now, this is a move that you want to make sure you start with a gentle, light pressure. If you go too deep, it can be quite sensitive for the client, and this is about a medium pressure. And it's a great way to stretch out the neck while the client is in the prone position. And I do feel like it's important to mention here that the angle of the face cradle has a lot to do with not only client comfort, but how you can get to the shoulder and neck muscles. So this is about middle. I'm going to show you what it looks like. I have clients who request me to raise the face cradle because it helps with their sinus drainage, but as you can see, it really limits the area that I can work on, and it creates that crease between the neck and the shoulder. Now this is one notch down from the middle, and what this does is drops the head a little bit, which completely opens up the neck and the upper traps. Now this is my preferred way to do it, but I do always check in with the client to make sure they're not feeling like they're falling off the table or their sinuses are going to go nuts. And this is right in the middle. As you can see, the face cradle is completely lined up evenly with the shoulder. His ear is lined up nice and straight with the shoulder and the face cradle. So it's really something you need to check in with your client about. So this is an interesting way to do the calf. Sometimes it's nice to switch it up. And I like to use my forearm as I've raised the leg, and I'm holding it with my left hand at the foot while I use my right forearm to glide down the leg. And again, you can use different levels of pressure with this. And it's just a nice different way to stretch out the gastroc, the calf muscle. And a lot of times I can do leg rotations from this position. I can do a lot of footwork from this position. This is a nice stretch I like to give the gastroc, so I'm using my forearm on the plantar side of the foot, shaking it loose and stretching down. And I like to hold this for about 10 seconds. And this is something I do usually before I start working on the calf, just to give it a nice stretch. And it feels great. I've had it done on my calf several times. And this gives you an opportunity to do some work on the foot while the client is prone. And normally what I would do is I would turn my body around so that I was facing the bottom of the foot, but for the sake of filming, I had to try to do it so that you could see what I was doing without blocking the camera. But you can really get a lot more work done if your body is facing the foot in this particular move. And that are my staple favorite moves that I use all the time. Hopefully you can add them to your massage toolbox of moves. And thanks for watching, you guys. See you next time.